Welcome to Level Up with Winnie Sun.
Well, happy Monday, and thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome back. I'm hoping you had an amazing weekend. I had a great one. Sort of got the house organized, get the kids all settled. We're getting excited because we're planning for a vacation. But if you're joining us on the replay, a big hello to all of you as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you're having a wonderful day. It's always special when you're here with us, and of course, my friends, I'm Modern Mom. It's great to see you as well. Let's talk about the market. Let you know how it closed. Unfortunately, Dow closed down 126 points. We don't like it, but it is what it is. The NASDAQ did give us positive, up 67 points though, and the S&P closed down 3 points as well. Now, you may have seen Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen actually came out and said Fed rate hikes would be a plus. Which, as you know, echoed sort of earlier comments that she said earlier. The economy starts to open back up here. More people going back to work. School's about to close too. A lot of things changing right now. Now, stocks have climbed back to record high territory, believe it or not. And, we've been seeing the last few weeks, it's kind of been a roller coaster effect. There have been days that it's been doing well, days that haven't been doing so well. So if you're an investor, you're probably watching this pretty carefully as we're watching the economic recovery. It looks like there's definitely some pluses and minuses. It's pretty well balanced. A lot of companies are starting to be back open. You're seeing travel certainly embracing that open. We in fact even heard last week cruise ships, right, now are welcoming passengers in as well. But those of you who may be thinking, well, what else? I wanted to put this on your radar. Did you see today Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference, or the WWDC? Google actually just had one of these conferences just a week or two ago. In fact, Greg Nibbler, who's my co-host on The Loop, was just talking about that. But this Apple conference is pretty interesting because they kicked off today with a 2-hour keynote, and they showed us a whole bunch of new products and features that are coming out. One thing that was really cool that I thought was really cool is that to create this new technology to be able to help developers turn 2D images into 3D models. This is pretty cool. So just imagine you're out there, you're taking pictures, I don't know, a mountain, of a pet, of a bird, it could be whatever, taking different pictures, and technology will enable it to turn into 3D. And if you remember what Greg was just talking about on his show not that long ago, is saying not only would you be able to see things in 3D, but maybe in the future you'll be able to have conversations with somebody, a coworker, a colleague, maybe a business networking, and you'll literally be able to sit there and look at them and see their 3D hologram, but you'll be where you are and they'll be where they are. Technology, I tell you, crazy things. But yeah, they're saying that if you use your iPhone, you take a bunch of photos, they'll be able to actually help you convert that into a model that can be augmented into reality apps. Super cool. Now, the latest version of Mac OS is going to be named Monterey after the very beautiful scenic town here in California. It's actually Northern California, Central Coast. And the new features include more accessibility. They're going to allow you to use your keyboard across both the Mac as well as your iPad. I'm wondering if this will also work on your iPhone eventually. But they're saying that you're actually be able to use your mouse and cursor between iPad and iMac, actually making the iPad into like a second monitor for you. So those of you who, like myself, we do live streaming, we do video work, we obviously do a lot of client work, this is going to be very cool. This new feature they're calling universal control. So this is one of the things that you'll be looking forward to if you are an Apple OS Mac user, more productivity. And also, they're also introducing some things for that next generation too. Apple's also going to be introducing Swift Playgrounds, which is an app that teaches people how to code. And they're saying that these new apps, you can actually use this technology now, and this can actually help you create apps that you can submit into the App Store right now. It's crazy. Some of the numbers I showed, how many apps, how many downloads, how many users. It's mind-boggling just how big Apple is. But one thing that I think many of you would appreciate, which I thought was really interesting, it seems like Apple really also has their eye on competing with platforms such as Google Meeting, Google Meets, as well as Zoom, because they're saying they're making some improvements to FaceTime. Now, many of you probably have used FaceTime if you have an iPhone. Certainly, I know my parents have enjoyed using it. It's just so simple, right? Well, now they're also going to include 3D audio. They're also going to include portrait mode, which will allow you to blur your background. And they're going to give you grid view to speak to multiple people at the same time. This is actually going to feel a lot like Zoom. It'll be interesting to see how they also allow you to share screen and other things like that. They're also going to let you to send links to schedule individual FaceTime calls, just like Zoom links. And you can also share screens, music, and with a new feature called Share Time. So FaceTime, going to have Share Time. It'll be really cool. So this is now also going to let you play well with others if you have friends and family who are not Apple iPhone users, because FaceTime calls are now also going to be supported on not only Apple products and Apple platform, but also Windows and Android through a browser. This is a big deal for Apple because, this is the first time that FaceTime will be supported across multiple platforms. And it's just really cool. There's a lot of new technology. I see many of you joining us online right now on all different platforms. Let me know. Number one, I'm curious, did you see the conference? Did you see the Apple conference? And what sort of features would you love to see Apple share for you if you are an iPhone user, an iPad user, maybe you're like a MacBook user? To be honest with you, I wasn't a big fan of Apple products not that long ago. But in my business now, I've got my iPhone, I got multiple iPads, I've got MacBook Pros, multiple as well, just to do what we do, just to be able to do the business that we do. And actually, I had a conversation not that long ago with a good friend who migrated from Apple over to Android and then now actually carries both phones, because he said, once he went complete Android, he realized he was missing on some business because people were iMessaging him and he never actually received the messages. So I'm curious to see how you feel about Apple's announcements and if that will impact your financial buying decisions of products and services going forward. Because you know what? That's what we have to think about. These are things that you want to think about as an investor, what this is going to look like for you into the future. Now, in other matters, let's segue just slightly, because in case you haven't realized also, we're officially in summer. Many kids are now finishing their last days of school, going into summer break, and maybe you're planning out your next road trip or vacation. I certainly am. And while you're at it, let me remind you, this is also a great time to get your financial well-being, reduce that financial anxiety, and get things in order. Because I've been reading so much about this. So many people have reached out to me on this topic. I met with a client earlier today as well, and we were discussing something that sounds so many people's minds, and that is the question of inflation. And what does that mean on your finances and his finances, right? So some of the questions I've been hearing recently include, inflation being the biggest concern for investors. I have a lot of cash in the bank, earning close to nothing. What are some options I have to better my return to keep up with inflation? Have you thought of that? I'm guessing some of you have thought that question as well. Another question is, I'm already behind on my retirement savings. Actually, this came today. And the prices of everything going up. How can I make sure that I have enough for my husband and I, or my sister and I, or whatever, my partner and I, to be able to retire? So many people are concerned about retirement. Here's one too. This one actually came not too long ago. And it said, my parents are risk adverse and keep everything in their savings / CDs. And their medication, their medical costs keep getting higher. We're getting really worried. And what can we do to change how they're saving, investing to keep up with the rise of medical costs? So you might be thinking about these things too. And you might be wondering, how can I mitigate inflation for myself? So I thought I would share some information that we've been talking about, right? I have these discussions on news. In fact, earlier today, I was on Fox Business with Mike Meeback. We talked about this exact same thing. If you didn't check it out, definitely check out that episode. There's a lot of information. We actually go and talk about inflation quite a bit today. One of the things that you should be doing right now, take a little bit of time this summer, in fact, and reach out to a financial professional. Definitely have a discussion on this. But what I want you to do is organize all your finances, figure out where everything is. Put together a budget, how much you should and shouldn't spend between now and the end of the year. And then take a look at how much you have in cash. I've been talking to a lot of people say, thanks to the stimulus checks that I received, or, I haven't been going out, so I haven't been eating out, I haven't been doing a lot of things I usually would spend money on. And therefore, I have a little bit more cushion, maybe a little bit more savings. If that's the case, and you're thinking about inflation concerns, you actually could think about adding some into a tax sheltered IRA or 401k and investing that money for long-term growth. When you do that, you're taking on a little bit more risk, right, than keeping it in cash. It could be a little bit, it could be a lot more depending on how you invest it. But more importantly, if you're invested in a long-term, maybe looking at putting aside money towards your future retirement needs or whatnot, you can actually have a chance for a greater return on your money, maybe on that 10, 20%, that small percentage that keep up with inflation. Because we know inflation historically runs anywhere between 2.5% to 3%. But we also know, because there's increases in price of oil and lumber, even postage stamps, even like cauliflower, everything seems to be increasing in price. We got to keep up with that. And in order to keep up with that, sometimes you got to take some risk of investing risk. Now, you can reduce some of that investing risk if your time horizon is a little longer. So what I would suggest is go through your statements, your financials, figure out what you have, and decide to make a change. Decide that this year is the year that you get financially organized. You figure out where you are and make some changes so you can save better into the future. Now, I want to share with you a fun moment. Let's do a moment here, shall we? Well, hello, CrossX Fighter. It's wonderful to see you. Hello, Joshua. I see Sadik here. Thank you so much, all of you. I see so many of you joining us from all the different platforms. I want to share with you some good news. This is a level of moment. Now, meet the one and only. He's just so cute. So Bryson is Bryson Klimon. I hope I'm saying that right. Of Lebanon, Virginia. Well, this is the kind of story that you want to hear about, because actually what happened was, so Bryson has a 4-month-old puppy named Bruce. And it turned out that Bruce needed very expensive medical treatment to survive. In fact, I think it was parvo. And so his parents, very hardworking parents, have 5 kids, and, his mom is still getting her education. So really, they're all dependent on his dad's income. They realized that they didn't have enough money to take care of the puppy. Now, the mom assured Bryson that she would find a way to take care of the puppy, but Bruce, Bruce is the puppy. He really needed something. And as the owner of Bruce, which is Bryson, by the way, Bryson is 8 years old, decided that he knew what he could do to help out Bruce. So this is what he did. He decided to sell his Pokemon cards that he's been collecting since he was 4 months old. Now, the puppy needed medical costs in excess of $600. Well, he decided to put out a sign in his front yard saying that he was selling his Pokemon cards. Well, this story got traction. It was shared on Facebook. People found out about it, and people all over the world resonated with this story. And the good news is, well, Bruce is going to get his medical care because people from all over, he sold Pokemon cards. Neighbors came in and gave them more Pokemon cards. an 8-year-old decided to do this all by himself. If that doesn't make your heart warm, I don't know what will. But we want to celebrate. I've actually reached out to him. Hopefully, we'll talk to them very soon. But yes, he is going to be selling his Pokemon cards. He sold some, and Pokemon, the company, actually heard about this story and even is sending Bryson, or maybe has already sent Bryson, some pretty rare Pokemon cards. So that's what you do, right? You collect money or you collect goods for the people and animals in your life that you care about. That's what wealth, that's what true wealth is, to be able to take care of those who need you most. So that was his plan. He decided to just put out a big wooden sign in front of his house that said Pokemon for sale. And thank you to my producer Curtis for sharing his GoFundMe page there. If you want to go ahead and contribute, that's where you can find him. And thank you so much for tuning in again tomorrow, because Michelle Black, the one and only Michelle Black, the credit writer, a good friend of mine, and she's just an all-around wonderful human being. And we're gonna chat about credit cards. That's right, credit cards for your kids. And you're not going to want to miss this one, because that is right. We're talking about when and how and why and should you get plastic credit cards for your kids, and at what age should you be getting them. I know this is a discussion that many of you may have not heard of before, but you're going to want to tune in. This is really good information. We're going to talk about this tomorrow on the show. Thank you so much, my friends, for tuning in today. Welcome back from the weekend, and happy Monday to you. I can't wait to see you again tomorrow, and be well and take care. Bye-bye now.